Hello, everybody. It's Thursday. It's AI Impact Day. Despite the fact that crypto is going to the moon, Bitcoin just hit 23 grand. No, excuse me, 121,000. Getting all my assets mixed up. 121 grand and all crypto's on fire. Covered that yesterday. But today is something even bigger than crypto, and that's AI Impact. Let's get into today's story. Big thank you to the mods in the chat, to T&D, Sean, DK, and everybody else. But this one is about what I believe is the biggest shock to the Earth, probably since the asteroid, which is wild. Today, I'll be talking about robots, energy, space, defense, jobs, markets, geopolitics, and how we need to position ourselves for the future, because the world will never be the same. Literally, never be the same. And I'm not one for exaggeration, but it's wild what's coming. And this is not financial advice. And thank you to everybody on Patreon too. This is from Neon River Productions. Patreon member, truly enjoy the notifications I get throughout the day with all the golden nuggets. Yes, we pump out at least 10 equivalent of mini Substacks every single day on Patreon. So thank you for enjoying those too. There's so much happening in the world. It's wild. Completely wild. You can look at my eyes; they're red because I've been up since 3 o'clock this morning waiting for the release numbers for Tesla. We get into that too. And by the way, there is now an AI Impact playlist. It'll be up here after the video. If you want to know what's coming, follow it. I will share about 40 nuggets today, covering everything that is coming fast. And there's a dog chewing something at my feet, so excuse the noise. Anyway, let's talk about the massive beat first of all. Get the elephant in the room out of the way. From AJ, massive beat. I must repeat, Tesla will go through the roof. Major beat. It beat everything, expectations, analysts, etc. But Elon did warn us that shorts would be obliterated. A lot of shares were held short. I think the shorts were about 86 million shares short as of the 1st of September. And Tesla's up 40% since then. And the traders faced probably $11 billion in short losses if they didn't cover since the 1st of December. But Elon said on 7/2/2024, the 2nd of July, once Tesla fully solves autonomy and has Optimus in volume production, anyone holding a short position will be obliterated. Even Bill Gates. Yeah, I will reserve comment there. Let's look at the charts since that time frame. You can see here, up 50% since that tweet. And it's been on a bit of a rampage. But let's get into the earnings, because we did have a little bit of a sell the news event today, which was expected. That's why yesterday we hedged and we said it's probably going to be a sell the news event. And yeah, it was, but that's how it works. But good news is Tesla did clear out inventory. There are literally no cars to get to do a test drive in. If you go to a Tesla dealership and say, I want to test drive or whatever, they probably don't have any because they sold everything in Q3, which is good. You can see here, inventory in green is pretty much gone. Deliveries were record deliveries, and production, while not a record, they did clear everything out because they had some left over from the previous quarter. And you can see here another view. It's not even Q4 yet. And I know a lot of this has to do with the tax credit. I made a detailed post about my views on the tax credit of how that's actually beneficial to Tesla, because it hurts all the other makers way more than Tesla. Tesla makes a profit on EVs, and they have the best-selling EV and car on the planet, which is the Model Y. Other companies don't have that. They lose. So the way the competition loses less money is they make less EVs. Wild. So there is no competition. 497,000 cars sold. It's basically an annualized rate of 2 million vehicles. And now they have 8.5 million cars running around on the roads. Many of them are capable of driving themselves. Of course, the cars that came out 10, 11 years ago don't have FSD per se, but all the AI3 cars and AI4 cars can all drive themselves. I know because I've got one of each right now. Now, let's talk about bots, because Elon did reference bots. We know bots are coming. But there's talk of who is the leader in bots. Well, a little bit of bad news for you here. America is celebrating, this is from Martin Casado, is celebrating its AI software lead, but we're missing the bigger picture. China has more robots in production than the rest of the world combined. Unitree is selling advanced humanoid robots for $5,900. China has entire dark factories that run with 0 humans. Jensen Wong says the chat GPT moment for general robotics is coming. However, China is already there. The robots are coming. They're already here. Another view of this is the world today from this cool little chart from, if I can remember who put it together, Our World in Data. This is the annual industrial robots installed in the top 5 countries. You can see China is number one with about 300,000 bots. America has 30,000 and change. Japan actually has a little bit more than America. Remember, this construes things like you could have a bot at an airport serving you beer, like in Narita, which they had years ago. But the point is, China are so far ahead with bots, it's not even funny. And the US has to catch up. Can they catch up? That's the question. We'll look at the AI lead in a minute. But let's talk about the beneficiaries of these bots that are coming and already here in places like China. You will see that unveiling the physical AI supply chain, big players like chips, Tesla, Qualcomm, Texas Instruments, Nvidia, some of the players, software, Nvidia, Tesla, UiPath, etc., motor and battery, different players like Tesla make their own batteries, so they should be on there too. Actuators, ABB, and other players. Sensors, Sony. Sony wasn't on my bingo card, but apparently they make the sensors for the bots too, and they'll be very important. So keep an eye on this industry. It will be huge. There will be infinite demand for billions of bots in the coming years, and there's no doubt about that. Speaking of bots, and maybe the only chance the US has to compete with China, that is Elon Musk and his bots. And he promises an Optimus dance troupe, I don't know how you say that word, not a dancer myself, on stage with me at the Tesla shareholders meeting. So he'll be pumped for that one. Now, this takes me back from the past. Who here is old enough to remember this TV show? This used to be a show called The $6 Million Man. He could run very fast and he was very strong and he was part robotics. But if you imagine you came to me as a little kid and I remember that TV show, one of the few ones I actually enjoyed. But who would have thought we go from a $6 million man to a $500 billion man? And that is Elon Musk. He just broke $500 billion yesterday. The first person in history to reach this net worth. Massive. Very big. But the point is, exposure to this capital allocator, this value creator, will help us all get forward as well. And he wants to use this. He doesn't care about money, but he does care about getting to Mars. So that's his end game. Remember that too. In other robot news, Robotrucking, shout out to Søren Basher, who coined the phrase. The first Tesla semi units are scheduled to roll off the production line this quarter at Tesla's new semi manufacturing facility in Nevada. And this is Ralph's Tesla Semi a couple of days ago. Ralph's, I think, is a supermarket in the US. They're now working with, I think, companies that make chips and serve beverages like Pepsi or Coca-Cola, one of those groups. And they're all using these trucks and they're saving a fortune. The cost of running one of these is far less than a traditional truck. So lots more of these coming. And soon they will be driving themselves as well because Tesla already has that technology. So again, another mini asteroid about to hit another industry. Speaking of industries as well, this is Jensen, and they had a cool article in the Information, but it spoke about how I has talked to it like Nvidia's grip on AI's direction is incredible because they're using all of their cash to lock in the full AI stack. They are investing left, right, and center in other competitors that are covering everything in AI, like self-driving vehicles, like robots, like you name it. They are everywhere. LLMs, they are investing everywhere. Oracle, OpenAI, all over the place. And it's wild. And this guy is kind of protecting himself by having a finger in all the pies. Makes Nvidia even more powerful because many of those companies will do very well and go up in value over time as well. So watch this space. Could it be actually that he gets to the point of owning too much, having too much control, too much of a monopoly? Not really, but anyway, always a risk to consider. Sadly, though, a lot of this change is impacting jobs. We've warned about that here since November 2022 when ChatGPT came out. This is the monthly change in US private employment. I don't have European statistics. The Europeans don't share as many statistics as I can get my hands on, but I'd imagine things over there are just as bleak. But private employment has gone down. It's not growing. Jobs always need to grow. When they don't grow, it's a problem. And another undeniable chart. This is a trading view chart, a beautiful trading view chart. Again, sharing my fears very clearly. This is the US job openings that fell from a peak of about 12 million in March 2022 until ChatGPT released. Since then, the white line, which is job openings, has gone down. But also, incredibly, the S&P 500 has gone up. So less people are working. And unfortunately, the youngest, hardest hitting age group is people between the age of 22 and 25 in AI exposed fields. That whole area dropped 13%, and entry-level software developer jobs fell nearly 20%. And major tech firms, big Silicon Valley firms, are cutting tens of thousands of jobs and have been for the last 2 years. And they're citing AI-driven restructuring. And the sad thing is, this is why I stress, to protect yourself from this asteroid or a number of asteroids that are coming, you have to become a capital allocator. You have to invest to save yourself. Notice the S&P 500 goes up as the number of people with jobs goes down, which is very tragic, but it's a reality you have to be aware of. Now, let's get back to AI and compute. Every month I share this chart. This chart isn't just data. It's a geopolitical dashboard, scoreboard showing the high stakes sprint where compute is the currency of power, okay? I said this before, he or she or nation with the most compute wins. It's that simple. And how nation states are not looking at this and getting deeply alarmed, I have no idea. It's like, you could print money in a country in Europe right now and buy Bitcoin. Why don't you do that? Or print money, buy GPUs and set up data centers. Why don't you do that? It's wild that people are not doubling down on these key areas. On the scoreboard, we have Japan at 1.2% of global compute, the EU 6%, others 9.4%. By the way, the Middle East is soon to have more compute than Europe. A place like Dubai, etc., will have more compute than the whole of Europe. Wild to think of. China, 14.5% of global compute, and then US, 69%. Can't make that number up, okay? US and China dominate. The question is, who will win? We saw right now, China's winning with robot deployments and maybe more machines, but the question is, how good will those machines be? The 2 or 3 key factors for a robot is durability, the ability to be very dexterous with your fingers, probably more than me, and the third part is the brain. AI drives the brain, compute drives the brain. Can AI help build very dexterous hands and durable robots with very good batteries that can last a long time and work a long time? That remains to be seen. Right now, USA has the lead in AI compute, but for how long, I do not know. We have to watch this carefully. Now, all of this compute as well, the downside to this, and it always makes me laugh because for years, Bitcoin was fudded to death because, Bitcoin mining is going to boil the ocean. Well, check this for boiling the ocean, my friends. Data centers and AI are gobbling up electricity like mad, but the share does differ by state. So, but this is between, say, the last 10 years, I think, to 2025. Data centers went from using less than 5% of electricity in Virginia to now 40% of electric consumption. And the problem is the increase in cost is being pushed on to actual consumers. But Virginia and Oregon is at 33%, Iowa 18%, Nevada 15%, Utah 15%, Nebraska, Arizona, again, massive explosion in use. But you can look at this and you know exactly where the big data centers are. California's not there, interestingly enough, probably because PG&E make electricity unbearably expensive. We'll see. Anyway, and all of that power that we are creating needs more power. And this is a global nuclear power generation map. And it's set to reach a new record high in 2025 because countries around the world, like China in that green, are building like mad. India have started to build as well. You can see Europe is on the downflow, and all other nations, Asia, US, are trying to build nuclear capacity as quickly as they can. It's making a strong comeback, and investment is up over 50% over the last couple of years. And 11 new reactors are coming online this year. And also, they're trying to get those SMRs up and running through the small modular nuclear reactors running as well, which will help things. But all of this power needs to be stored. That's the key. You don't need, the US technically has enough power to support all the data centers if they can store the power. Guess who's at the middle of that little storm? Well, Tesla Energy with their Megapacks are right there. And they had a record quarter, over 12 gigawatt hours of electricity over the last 12 months combined. I think they're at about 44 gigawatt hours, 43 and a half, something like that. And the growth is unreal. And they're bringing on two big factories. Shanghai Megapack Higher is coming online too. I think they may already be in operation. I think they are actually. And another one in Houston, Texas. But even despite that, Q3, Q1, and Q2 in 2025 already exceed the total storage deployed in 2024. And Q4 is the big one. That's when all the big deals are done. Historically, always the big one. And again, still sometimes a little bit lumpy, but big numbers are coming. And all of the stuff that they sell, they have unlimited demand for these megapacks. All the data centers need them to smoothen out the electricity so they don't fry all their GPUs that cost a fortune. And guess who's at the center of it all? Yes, Elon Musk, selling this thing at 31% margin, unlimited demand. Wild. And they will triple their capacity to 120 gigawatt hours a year, at least by the end of next year, if not sooner. So expect this to become a massive part of the business, probably 30% of the Tesla business, until Robotaxi continues to ramp as well as we go forward. Funny, I'm not even going to talk about Robotaxi today because there's so much other stuff to talk about. But this is from AJ, monster Megapack deployment, 81.2% year-on-year growth to nearly 13 gigawatt hours. And that is wild. If you look at the trailing 12 months, it's 85% to 43.5 gigawatt hours of production. And again, they are just so far ahead. It's crazy. Big part of the business, but it's a car company. Remember that, everybody. It's a car company. And hello to everyone in Spain. Hello, T&D Tesla in Spain. Spain curbs carbon by reducing electricity prices by using solar and wind. And a lot of people say, oh, wind doesn't work and solar doesn't work. But somehow the Spanish have made it work. And as the wind and solar grows, they can influence the costly fossil fuels that they use and thereby reduce the electricity prices as well of the country. Maybe with these cheaper electricity prices in Spain, maybe Spain can become the AI hub of Europe and they can catch up with China. Fingers crossed. Go Spain. If you're listening, do it. Don't wait. Just call up Jensen and buy some buy some GPUs. Plug them in. Get going. And shout out to Palmer Luckey. I'll be very quiet about this one, but he has a new approach that he believes he can prevent a lot of violence and to make war a lot less rare by using AI technology. Remember, it's still a private company, but their focus is defense and to build smarter defense to make, again, war rare and less brutal. He did say, of course, there's always going to be war. War is inevitable, but how can you make it far more rare? It's like much more of a prevention mechanism using AI, which I'm a big supporter of. Rather than turn my back on the whole story, maybe Palmer and his company, beginning with A, Anduril, can change the game. Now, let's talk about space for a second. Starlink is making flying nearly attractive again. I say that because I hate flying. I flew my entire life. I hate it. But now, maybe with this super high-speed internet, it's a game changer. And United Airlines has some crazy speeds, pulling down 235 megabytes per second and uploading 30. That's incredible. Your average home does 50 down, maybe 10 up. So you're in an airplane and you're getting 5x more than you get in your home, which is completely wild to think of, which is great. And what's happening with all the money? Where's all the money going? This is from Citi Research. The amount of capital expenditure for 2026, their forecast was just raised up from $400 billion to $490 billion. The hyperscaler CAPEX forecast is going to the moon. It is not slowing down. And remember, the beneficiaries are companies like Nvidia and all the other ancillary players like this. It's just, scale is wild. And Morgan Stanley even come out and said that data center investments over the next 3 years will be $3 trillion. I like threes, so I wanted to share that one too. But $3 trillion is a lot of money. This is saying their CAPEX forecast for 2026 is just 490 billion. That's $500 billion. Morgan Stanley thinks it's going to be 6 times that, but over 3 years, of course, which is averaging $1 trillion a year, which is massive. So for those who think AI is a bubble, no, not while the spending continues. And let's go back to the little view of the world. A lot of countries are way behind and they need to catch up fast. Now, also, AI spending is the rise sustainable. This is a bit of a sad chart because the top blue line is the construction planning for office space for workers. And the bottom line is construction spending, the light blue, for data centers. They are about to meet for the first time ever in the history of the world. US data centers under construction right now, $41 billion, up 400% over the last 3 years. And for the first time, they will surpass general office and office construction, which has fallen 40% since 2022 to about 45 billion. And that's also the lowest level in 9 years. So I think what you're seeing here is office space is no longer being built because maybe there's fewer people in the offices, but the office space is being replaced by data centers, which will house, instead of workers, GPUs. So code for that is the GPU is replacing the worker. Again, it's not a happy story. It's a very sad story, but it's also what's happening. And it's more of that's going to happen too. Now, let's look at some stocks, AI stocks. There's a cool chart of how the AI giants are loading up on debt. This is the debt to equity ratio of all AI stocks. Oracle has a debt to equity ratio of nearly 550%. If, as an investor, I always look at the financials, that would alarm me greatly. Other players, IBM, Apple. I'm surprised Apple has so much debt. Over 200% debt to equity in Apple. Spend all their money on buying their stock back, but they got a ton of debt. That's just not clever as far as I'm concerned, just to pump their price. Terrible. You got other names like AMD, very low on debt, Palantir, Palo Alto, Google, Nvidia, Tesla, extremely low debt loads. Then you get to the middle of the road around Meta, nearly 50%, Micron, Microsoft, Adobe, Uber have a truckload of debt, over 50% debt. I mean, Uber don't even have any assets, so they got a ton of debt. What the hell's going on? And they're about to be disrupted. Wild, wild. You can tell so much from this chart. I could talk about it for hours, but I'm not going to bore you all to death. But the point is, debt is growing because they need to invest in AI hard, build those data centers, buy those GPUs like crazy. Let's have a quick look at the private companies, which are the biggest private companies that are not public, i.e. pre-IPO, or maybe will always be private. What's stunning about this is all of these companies, with the exception, you could argue, of SpaceX, are all AI or AI adjacent plays. They rely on AI to do things like detect fraud or build stuff or design stuff or whatever, store stuff for AI. All of them are AI with the exception of SpaceX. Crazy. But the largest one is $500 billion valuation to OpenAI. A lot of people are saying they might be doing $1 trillion valuation. And even Tether, this might be playing a much larger one than that too. Tether should actually be on this list, but it's not. So Bloomberg, add Tether. I don't know why you're ignoring it. The list is from Bloomberg, of course. I forgot to put the logo on, but I recognize their font and their style. Now, so we just discovered the world is all AI, a little bit of space. But what else is happening on the space frontier? Let's have a look. Arc spacecraft. This is a new thing. This is a I think it's a couple of SpaceX interns. Now they have about 60 employees. They're building a tool which will handle on-demand orbital delivery vehicle, which can deploy stuff, big heavy payloads to you, I think up to 500 pounds, which is like 250 kilos approximately of cargo. It could be medical supplies or drones or whatever, anywhere on Earth in under an hour. Think about that. They can drop anything anywhere on Earth in under an hour. And it can stay in orbit pre-positioned for up to 5 years and then deploys autonomously, re-enters the atmosphere within 1,000-kilometer. Crazy stuff. But anyway, it is basically mission enabling cargo. Wild. So keep an eye on ARK. They may, not ARK Invest, ARK. They may have an IPO real soon too. Interesting. And Apple fails again. They failed with their autonomous car, their electric car. When they first came out with these things, what are they? Google Vision Pro, Apple Vision Pro, whatever it is. I said, nobody's going to use that thing. It's instant migraine, looks stupid, whatever. But guess what? 2 or 3 years later, Apple just hit the pause button and decided to fail on this as well. They gave up and they decided to double down and going after Meta's lunch, which is smart glasses. By the way, Meta also have failed at AI, despite having a ton of chips. Their team hasn't been able to compete on the LLM market at all. So they're focusing on AI with vision glasses. So now we're going to have AI and Meta beat the hell out of each other. It'll be fun to watch. Well, Apple's debt is wild. Meta's not that good either, but a lot better than Apple. Who will win? Who will survive? I don't know. But even in the top technology companies like Mag 7s, what you have to understand is disruption is coming. Even for those guys, can you imagine what's happening to 60% of the S&P 500? They're going to be completely slaughtered. Wild, wild future. And before my right eye fails, we're going to talk about meme du jour. This is hilarious. Why we need AI. This is Def Leppard fan 94. People born in 2001 are turning 50 years old this year. Let that sink in. Yeah, you need some AI to make some better decisions out there, my friends. So that is AI Impact for this Thursday. A lot of stuff happening. Think robots, think space, think autonomy, etc. Think this playlist, which will be up here afterwards. Big thank you as well to the mods in the chat. And a thank you to GQ Trader, Martello, Radrich, Anglo-Blackson, Tchaikovsky. By the way, my favorite composer is Tchaikovsky. Little inside baseball there. GQ Trader, Piper, James again, Voschzong, thank you. AZ Roller, Meatball, good to see you, buddy. Sylvan Muster in Switzerland, GQ Trader, Ragnar, and Half Viking. We got all the Viking Scandinavians here today. And Mary Magdalene, I love that name. And Junka, thank you all for coming. Sean D, T&D, K8, everybody. I hope you enjoyed AI Impact. Yes, asteroids are going to make an impact. Be prepared, my friends. That's why I'm here every single day, to make sure we can survive the asteroid when it hits. Well, it's already hitting, but we're going to make it. Trust me. Thank you. Good night.